He swore I'd have the moon, yet all I got was my darkest nightmare, leaving me broken beyond belief. I should have known the moonlight was a trap the moment Leo slipped that ring onto my finger. My name is Emma Clark, early 30s, idealistic architect with more blueprints than common sense. 6 months ago, on the rooftop of Sinclair Hall, Leo Marlowe got down on one knee under a full harvest moon. His smile was electric. The city's skyline melted behind us in gold and silver. He held out a velvet box, opened it, and there it was, a pale blue moonstone set in platinum, glowing like promise incarnate. "I promise you the moon, Emma," he whispered, voice slick with charm. "I'll bring lunar tourism to life. And I'll bring you along for the ride." My heart flared. I'd poured sleepless nights into drafting eco-friendly lunar habitats for his startup, Brightwave. Leo's pitch deck had dazzled investors already. He was a rock star in the making. And I was the architect who'd draw his dreams in pencil and starlight. Claire cheered from the crowd, my best friend since college and colleague on my firm's rooftop project. She hugged me tight, her eyes strangely distant. "He's perfect for you," she said, voice a little too eager. I caught the flash of envy behind her smile. Red flag number 1. Claire's always been the rational one. But here she was, almost applauding my leap into Leo's orbit. And then there was Victor, Leo's business partner. He hovered by the drinks table, suave in a navy suit, sipping a whiskey sour. His gaze flicked to me, then to Leo, then back with a tight, unreadable curve in his lips. Red flag number 2. The way he and Leo exchanged a half-smile felt like a secret handshake I wasn't privy to. We toasted. Champagne glasses clinked, bubbles bursting like fireworks on my tongue. Leo slipped his arm around my waist. The world narrowed to his warmth, the moonstone's glow, and the smooth promise in his words. "We start Moonvisor next week," he said. "We'll revolutionize travel." He kissed me then, and every doubt scattered into the night breeze. Claire slipped me her phone later. "Be mindful, office politics can get ugly." She winked, but her warning stung. I laughed it off, cradling Leo's promise in my chest. Politics at Brightwave? I was part of the inner circle now. As the rooftop crowd thinned and the moon climbed higher, Leo guided me to a private corner behind the rooftop garden. Vines brushed my arms, and the moonlight turned their leaves to silver lace. "Tomorrow," Leo said, "you meet the core team. You'll see how serious we are." His voice dropped to a whisper. "But I need you to sign an NDA first." "Standard procedure." He revealed a slim folder, contracts waiting to be signed. He handed me a pen. I glanced at the title. Moonvisor Project, Confidentiality Agreement. The first clause promised exclusive rights to any designs I conceived under Brightwave's name. I pressed my lips together. My blueprints, my ideas, locked away from me forever if I signed. "I'll review it tonight," I said, trying to sound confident. My pulse thumped like a drum in my throat. Leo's smile flickered. "Nervous? Pleased?" "Of course," he said, slipping the folder back into his jacket. "But trust me, Emma. We're on a tight timeline. I'd hate for you to miss joining the team." I felt the moonlight shift, cool and distant on my shoulders. The promise of adventure warred with a warning tremor in my gut. Claire's text buzzed again in my pocket. "Are you sure he's the real deal? Don't let him blindside you." Victor's shadow loomed when I stood to leave. He offered his arm, guiding me toward the stairwell. His cologne smelled of polished wood and something metallic, like coin or machine oil. "Excited to work with you, Emma," he murmured, voice low. "Big things ahead." As the rooftop door clicked shut behind me, the moonstone on my finger caught the light and fractured it into shards. I stared at my hand, wonder and doubt warring in my chest. What if the moon he promised was nothing but reflected lies? And why did Claire's eyes look so haunted when she spoke my name? I hurried down the silent stairwell, clutching my jacket around me. The night air tasted of rain. My phone buzzed with a final incoming message from Victor, no text visible in the preview. Beneath the moon's silent watch, I realized I might already be too far into Leo's orbit to pull back. I floated into Brightwave Towers like I'd bought a one-way ticket to the moon. The lobby's glass walls swallowed me in daylight. Every pane reflected Leo's ambition, his face on banners. Brightwave making the moon a home, echoing down the marble hall. My heart pounded. Today, I'd sit in on his pitch to Nova Ventures. Claire's text buzzed as I signed in. Trust your gut. Watch their body language. Her warning scratched at me. But excitement won. This was the front row to his dream. Victor met me at the elevator. He pressed 14 with a knuckle tap that sounded like code. Morning, Emma, he said, voice oily smooth. He handed me a headset. Audio feed, he explained. You'll pick up side channel chatter. I slipped it on. Static crackled. I tuned into whispers about Phase 2 and critical milestones. Red flag number 3. They were hiding more than they revealed. On the 14th floor, Leo stood before a semicircle of investors. His smile could light darkness. The moon visor, concept schematic glowed on the hollow screen behind him, an inflatable habitat, tethered modules, solar arrays glinting like silver threads. My breath caught. It was beautiful. I drafted the initial blueprints. My lines and color washes came alive here. But as Leo clicked to financial overview, half the slide was a blacked-out rectangle. Investors shifted uneasily. I scribbled in my notebook. Why redacted? I whispered to Claire, leaning close over my seat. She held a poker face. Top secret, she mouthed back, eyes wide. Leo pivoted to Victor for the Q&A. An investor asked, Can you detail the supply chain costs? Victor's voice softened. Numbers pending final audits. The investors frowned. Leo flashed a grin. That's Victor's domain. He'll finalize next week. My skin prickled. Pending audits? The numbers in my spreadsheet last night were all I'd had to go by. If they weren't set, how could he guarantee returns? And why hide them now? After the meeting, I trailed Leo through gleaming corridors. His cologne trailed behind, warm cedar, a hint of something electric. He clapped my shoulder. You did great, he said. Your designs got everyone talking. I flushed. Thanks. I noticed the redactions. I pointed. Are those vendor agreements? He paused mid-step. His jaw flicked. They're part of a secure dev phase. I can't share everything until legal signs off. He forced a smile. But you'll see it soon. I nodded, though doubt coiled tighter. In his glass-walled office, Leo offered me a contract addendum, another NDA, this one for the moon visor supply chain. I need your signature, he said, leaning forward. The pen hovered over my fingers. This was more than confidentiality. It claimed any improvements I suggested on manufacturing processes. I eyed the fine print. It felt like surrendering my design rights a second time. Red flag number 4 flickered. I was handing over my creative DNA twice before seeing a single dollar. I signed. My pen scratched the paper. Leo tucked the document away, his grin triumphant. Welcome aboard the real mission, he said. Then Victor slipped in, carrying my tablet. You left your digital prototype here, he said. He unplugged the charger cable. We'll upload it to the server for version control. He tapped a few commands. A progress bar slid across the screen. Transferring 2 GB. That's my original CAD file. I blurted. Please don't overwrite it. Victor's lips twitched. We always keep working copies. It's safer. He patted my shoulder. Think of it as protecting your work. My gut twisted. Was it protection, or deletion by version rollback? I glanced at Claire, who joined us under the guise of support. She offered a tight-lipped nod. They'll safeguard your designs, she said. But her eyes flicked to Victor's screen. Not reassurance, calculation. Sheltered by the high-rise view, I felt vertigo. I'd come seeking light. Instead, I found locked doors and half-truths. Leo had dazzled investors, but where were the actual costs? Victor claimed to guard my work, yet my files were out of my hands. I slipped off my headset. The daytime hum outside sounded alien now. Traffic, wind, distant sirens, all muffled by the swirl inside me. Walking back to the elevator, I trailed my fingers along the polished wall. My reflection fractured across metal panels. One shard showed an excited architect, another, a fool signing away her genius. A final message from Claire Chime. Meet me tonight. I've dug up something. Promise you'll listen. My phone died on the next buzz. I raised it in my hand, powerless. As the doors slid shut, I realized I'd handed over more than my designs. I'd handed over trust. And in bright waves' dazzling glow, doubt eclipsed every promise Leo ever made. I could almost taste the applause, but all I felt was grit scratching my throat. My name's Emma Clark, still trying to catch my breath after that Nova Ventures pitch. I thought I'd be riding a rocket by now. Instead, I'm standing in Claire's dim living room, half lit by the glow of her laptop. Look at this, Claire murmured, sliding a screenshot across the screen. It was an email chain between Victor and someone labeled only L. The subject line: Moonvisor code audit, urgent fix. Victor wrote. Emma flagged errors again. I'll handle it, no need to involve her. L replied. Good. Make sure no one sees the draft with her comments. Red flag number 5 hit me like a meteor. They were quietly erasing every fix I'd pointed out. I sank onto Claire's couch. Her walls smelled of old coffee and lavender. He's gaslighting you, she said softly, shoulders hunched. Victor's covering up your concerns so it looks like you're incompetent. Last night, in Leo's home office, I'd pored over Moonvisor's software spec. Every module I'd drafted had glaring logic gaps, thermal shields miscalculated, oxygen recycling loops missing thresholds. I flagged them in red font, hoping for an all-hands meeting. Instead, Victor brushed me off. You don't understand tech pipelines, he spat, voice cold. Then Leo had swooped in, placing a hand on my wrist. Don't be jealous of my world, Emma. You're an architect, not a coder. His palm felt warm, persuasive. But beneath that warmth lay dismissal. I'd thought he'd have my back. Now Claire's screenshot confirmed my suspicion. They'd branded my expertise as jealous insecurity to bury my corrections. The real code errors would go live. Investors would blame me when it crashed. Claire leaned forward. Her eyes glinted. I've arranged something. PI named Trent. He digs up financials, contacts, whatever. He'll meet you tonight at the Café Aurora. My pulse thundered. Hiring a private investigator felt like slipping down a rabbit hole. But I needed the truth. The cafe buzzed with late evening chatter and the clink of espresso cups. I sat by the rain-smeared window, steam from my latte fogging the glass. Trent looked nothing like I expected. Tall, wire-framed glasses, notebook stuffed in his jacket pocket. His voice was gravel and kindness. He slid me a folder. Inside, bank statements, wire transfers, loan agreements. Almost all of Leo's funding, traced back to shell companies and a single source, Luca and Company, a notorious private lender. The amounts matched the astronomical sums Leo had pitched for lunar transport. Red flag number 6 flared. Leo's capital was almost entirely fake loans, not equity. He was deep in debt before the first prototype was built. I closed the folder, trembling. Trent whispered. He's playing a dangerous game. Debt leverage on a moon that doesn't exist yet. I left the cafe with my knees weak. Rain fell in silver threads. My phone buzzed, Claire calling. I answered, voice quivering. Emma, are you okay? She asked. I told you something was off. Debt. Shell companies. Luca is his creditor. My words stumbled over each other. He's lying to investors, lying to me. Claire's sigh crackled over the line. We need to talk before tomorrow's board meeting. You can't go unprepared. Tomorrow's board meeting, where Leo planned to unveil a full-scale Moonvisor prototype. Investors would fork over the next tranche of funding. If I spoke up without proof, I'd look like a traitor or a saboteur. Back at home, rain pattered against the window. I spread Trent's documents across my dining table, figures, acronyms, loan terms. Each sheet was a nail in Leo's coffin. But I also saw my name on internal memos. Emma's concerns addressed, projecting user error. They pre-blamed me for any failure. My phone pinged again. It was Victor. Meet me in the lab. Urgent debug session, 7 a.m. My stomach twisted. Was he luring me in to isolate and discredit me further? I stared at the screen, heart picking up speed. I needed confirmation straight from Leo. I typed, "Can we talk? Urgent." His reply was instantaneous. "In my office, now." I grabbed Trent's folder and my laptop. The hallway to Leo's office felt narrower than ever, fluorescent lights humming overhead. My steps echoed, each one heavier with dread. Leo's door swung open before I knocked. He sprang from behind his desk, suit crisp as if nothing were wrong. "Emma, good. Ready for the demo?" I squared my shoulders. "Leo, we need to talk. I found evidence. Loans disguised as equity, code errors buried by Victor, internal memos blaming me for user issues. What's going on?" His smile flickered, half amused, half steely. He raised a hand, as if to hush me. "Emma, breathe. I know you're upset. But this..." He waved vaguely at the stacks of blueprints on his desk. "This is business strategy. You're young. You don't see the bigger picture yet." My blood roared. "This isn't strategy. It's fraud. I only want the truth." He slid behind the desk, folding his fingers. "I promise you, everything will look different once we close the next round. Trust me." His tone was velvet, but the steel in his eyes cut through me. I opened my mouth to respond, and the door clicked shut behind me. In the reflective surface of his office window, I saw my own face, determined, anxious, betrayed. And I realized that trusting Leo might cost me more than my designs. It could shatter every dream I'd ever had. But I wasn't backing down. Not yet. The demo starts at sunrise. I have to choose, expose him now and burn every bridge, or gather more proof and risk going down with his ship. Either way, tomorrow will decide everything. I slipped into the cavernous hall beneath the old industrial district, heart pounding like a jackhammer. The lunar gala was hidden in what looked like an abandoned factory, exposed brick, dangling Edison bulbs swaying overhead, the bass of electronic music thumping against metal rafters. Investors in tuxes and gowns drifted around cocktail tables, whispering about moonshots and Phase 3. I wore a sleek black dress I'd borrowed from Claire, incognito, yet every eye still seemed drawn to me. Trent stood near the back, blending into the crowd with a dark suit and wire-framed glasses. He handed me an earpiece. "You're live," he murmured. "Audio's encrypted to my feed." His voice was gravel-soft, steady. He tapped my arm. "I've got something big, just wait for the glitch." Leo took the stage, flanked by Victor and Luca, an impeccably tailored man with slicked back hair and a subtle air of menace. A hollow projector whirred to life behind them, a glowing 3D model of Moon Visor's first habitat module, rotating against a backdrop of stars. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The projection shimmered, then splintered, lines tearing across the moon's surface like a spider web. Leo's voice cracked mid-sentence. "As you can see..." The model froze, then stuttered, flickering back with missing panels exposing a gaping void. A murmur of confusion swept the room. Victor lunged forward to reset the controls. His fingers danced over a touch screen. The image snapped back, but this time the glitches revealed code lines I'd flagged weeks ago, mismatched pressure valves, missing thermal regulators. My blood went ice cold. Red flag number 7, my error messages, meant for internal review, were now broadcast in neon blue to every investor. I sank behind a rusted support beam, heartbeat echoing in my ears. Trent tapped my shoulder. "I found more," he hissed, pressing a USB drive into my palm. "Luca's loans, they're all personal, backed by assets in your name. If you don't expose this, He jerked his chin toward Claire, who watched us with wide, hollow eyes. "They'll siphon your savings next." Claire glided toward me, voice urgent. "Emma, you need to leave, now, before they lock the doors and demand you sign another NDA to protect you." Her hand trembled as she touched my arm. "I didn't want it to come to this." Her eyes shone with too much pity. Too much relief. She backed away, disappearing into the crowd. I realized she'd set this in motion, pushed me to hire Trent, so she could feign rescue later. Betrayal tasted metallic on my tongue. The projector flickered again, and Leo recovered, voice tight. "Technical difficulties, folks. We'll reboot in 5. He flashed a practiced smile as murmurs died down. I slipped behind the stage, heartbeat thundering, and plugged Trent's USB into a backstage laptop. The screen populated with balance sheets, loan covenants, Luca and company memos demanding repayment by month's end, or collateral seizure. My designs, my savings, even my home equity were listed as guarantees. My fingers hovered over the export button. A sudden hush fell over the hall, everyone staring at the stage. Leo raised his arms. "Reboot successful," he announced triumphantly. The hologram roared back to life, pristine and dazzling. Investors erupted in applause. Trent's voice crackled in my ear. "You've got 10 minutes before they pull the feed." I tucked the USB into my clutch and exhaled. Steel coiled in my gut. I'd promised myself I'd expose him here, live in front of every backer. But Claire's warning echoed. "They'll lock the doors. If I got trapped backstage, they could silence me forever." I peeked around the curtain. Leo stood center stage, arms spread, moonlight gleaming off his cufflinks. Victor smiled at Luca, who nodded. They were celebrating a scam they perfected. My dreams, my life, hung in the balance. An usher bumped into me. "Miss Clark? Leo said you'd join him." Her voice was polite but strained. This was my moment. I squared my shoulders and stepped onto the stage, clutch in hand. Victor's smile froze. Leo's eyes flicked to mine, disbelief blooming. The crowd hushed, sensing something wrong. I raised my voice to reach the back row. "I have an important announcement." A hush so complete it pressed against my eardrums. I unzipped my clutch, palms shaking. "Everything you've been shown tonight," I said, voice trembling then growing strong, "has been built on lies. These loans," I held up Trent's USB. "Not equity. This code error," I pointed to the hologram, where the image still glitched, "was ignored until it broke live. And your investments," I pressed play on a tiny projector, "back dangerous debt that uses my name as collateral." Silence crashed down. Investors stared. Leo's face went white as the moonstone in his ring. Victor's shoulders tensed. Luca's lips curled in a slow, dangerous smile. The lights cut out. Emergency red strobes blinked. Alarms began, a siren-like wail echoing off the brick walls. I heard doors unlocking, footsteps flooding toward the stage. In that charged silence, I realized I'd set the final wheels in motion. The only question was, could I survive the fallout? A figure lunged at me from the wings. My heart lurched. And then the floodlights snapped back on, illuminating me, alone in the glare, with every eye pinned on my next move. The knock on my door sounded like a gunshot in the silence. I just collapsed on my couch, heart still hammering from the gala, and stared at the USB, wavering in my palm. My apartment smelled of bleach and stale coffee. The city's nighttime hum seeped through cracked windows. Victor's silhouette appeared in the peephole. His hair was mussed. His suit hung oddly loose. He looked desperate. I opened the door. "Victor?" I whispered. He slipped inside without waiting. "Emma, we need to talk," he said, voice low and urgent. His eyes darted to the USB clutched in my fingers. "Give me your bank passwords." My stomach rolled. "What?" He stormed past me into my living room. The light flickered off the half-empty wine bottle on my coffee table. "You have 2 minutes. The company's next wire transfer requires your account as collateral. Or I expose you for stealing code." Stealing code? His words echoed with menace. I tightened my grip on the USB. You planted those log entries. Victor's face snapped. Don't play naive. You saw what happened at the gala. You owe this company. He lunged forward, throat tense. And without your funds, Luca calls in the debt. They'll come for you. My breath caught. Luca's private men had muscle, reputation for violence. I stared at Victor, heart pounding. Emma, he pleaded. Help us. We can fix this. But we need your credentials. I shook my head. Never. He clenched his fists. My phone buzzed, Claire calling. Relief flickered. I wanted backup. I pressed. Accept. Emma? Claire's voice quivered. Leo's debt collectors are on the move. I'm coming over now. Thank God. I breathed, turning off the gas lamp next to my sofa. But before I could hang up, Claire burst through the door, face pale but determined. She dove past Victor, grabbing my shoulders. Emma, go to my car. Now. Relief surged. She'd come to save me. She unlocked her phone, ready to dial Trent or the police. Then she stepped back and let Victor close in. Claire's eyes gleamed, not with fear, but calculation. You'll sign, she said softly, voice smooth as silk. Or we'll make sure the code theft sticks. My blood ran ice cold. She slipped behind Victor and whispered in his ear. His shoulders relaxed. They exchanged a look that cut deeper than any knife. Luca's men appeared outside the living room window. 3 dark figures, pale masks reflecting streetlights. They pushed the panes aside and slipped in with effortless grace. Victor grabbed my laptop and tossed it onto the couch. He yanked my phone from my hand. You're not calling anyone, he snarled. One of Luca's men seized me by the upper arms. His grip was crushing. I gasped, pressing my back into the couch. Claire hovered, arms crossed. It's simpler this way, she said. You give us your bank login. We cover our debts. You disappear, with no proof, no payback. Hands shaking, I edged toward the hallway. My fingers dug into the plaster wall. I needed air. I needed a plan. Victor brandished my phone's screen toward me, the login page for my savings account. His thumb hovered over the login button. I swallowed hard. You're insane, I whispered. He leaned in close. His breath was warm with whiskey. You know what happens if Luca doesn't get paid? A crash of lightning lit the room through the window as rain hammered the street outside. The thunder rolled in my skull. One of Luca's men pressed a cold pistol against my temple. My pulse thundered. The USB burned a hole in my coat pocket, a lifeline I couldn't reach. Claire watched, unmoving. I realized she never planned to save me. She'd orchestrated this. Every warning, every tip had funneled me here. She'd used my trust like a weapon. My heart fractured. Betrayal stung sharper than fear. Last chance, Victor rasped. Type it in. My fingers trembled over the keys of my laptop. I wanted to scream, to run, to fight. But 4 bodies blocked every exit. The pistol pressed harder. A drop of rainwater slid down the window and splashed at my feet. In that moment, I understood. I was completely alone. And whatever came next would change me forever. I could feel Luca's cold barrel against my temple, the rain pounding like war drums behind him. Claire's smirk gleamed in the flash of lightning. Victor hovered, fists clenched. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would burst through my ribs. The pistol shifted. Luca's breath was a growl. In that moment, desperation sharpened my mind. I reached into my clutch with one hand, slowly, deceptively. My fingers closed around the small recorder I'd slipped inside yesterday after Claire's frantic call. I pressed play. A hush fell. Luca's finger twitched. Victor and Claire froze. From the recorder's speaker, Claire's voice crackled. He'll hand over the passwords when he's terrified. I'll look like the hero who talked him down. Then Victor's admitted. We siphon her savings, Luca gets the moon's worth, and Leo's free. Luca's eyes roved. She lying to me? He snarled. I dropped the recorder into Luca's palm. Play it for him. Luca pressed pause, scowling. You set us up? I swallowed. I recorded all your plotting. Every threat, every lie. Victor lurched forward. Destroy it, he barked. Luca hurled the recorder across the room. It clattered under the coffee table, far enough that no one could reach it without leaving my view. He shoved Claire aside and yanked his phone from his pocket. Watch this. He tapped the recorder's mic icon. On the hollow projector above us, leftover from the gala's kit, a live feed from the device activated. The ceiling lights flickered, and suddenly the entire launch pad's control room was projected in holographic wires. Investors in the adjacent hangar could see it. Victor's face turned ashen. Claire's jaw dropped. Luca's men froze outside the window, fists clenched. Overhead speakers crackled to life with Transcom voice. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're witnessing the truth behind Brightwave's moon promise. Investors in the hangar spilled into the pad, eyes wide. Phones rose to record. Sirens wailed outside. Police had Luca's location from Trent's tip. Claire's voice echoed on the feed. You can't do this. It'll ruin all of us. Victor's. Shut her up. Leo burst through the door, face pale as lunar dust. Stop this, he demanded. Emma, it's not what you think. The live hologram sliced Leo mid-sentence. His own voice recorded. We'll protect our interests at any cost. If Emma balks, we'll frame her. Gasps rippled through the investors streaming in. Leo's shoulders slumped, his bravado shattered. Police stormed in, guns drawn. Luca's men froze, then sank to their knees. Officers cuffed them and cuffed Luca himself. Victor bolted toward the back exit, but an agent blocked him. Claire tried to flee, but Leo's hand dropped from his pocket, his phone in hand, showing the ongoing broadcast. Immobilized by exposure, she sank to the floor, tears glistening. I stood amid the chaos, shaking. Trent slipped in beside me, relief flooding his features. He handed me my recorder. You did it, he said softly. I exhaled, legs turning to jelly. I watched as officers read Luca his rights, then led Victor and Claire out in handcuffs, Claire still babbling. It was for Emma's good, I didn't know. But no one listened. Leo approached, shoulders slumped. He looked older, smaller. Emma, he began, voice cracking. I held up my hand. Don't. My voice echoed in the empty pad. You promised me the moon, I said, staring at my ring, the moonstone dull now. But you were selling dreams built on lies, at the cost of everything I believed in. He looked down, shame in his eyes. I'm sorry. You used my trust, and nearly ruined me. His shoulders shook. You're right. I turned away. The first pale light of dawn crept over the launch pad's edge. I breathed in the crisp air. I'd risked everything to expose them. Now the debt was wiped clean, investors demanded full investigations, and the corrupt core of Brightwave collapsed. Over the next week, press releases confirmed the arrests. Nova Ventures withdrew funding and pledged support for my independent venture. Trent's intel drew praise. I regained full rights to my designs. 2 months later, under Germany's moonlit sky, far from Chicago's glare, I stood outside the launch site of Aurora Architekten, my new firm. Investors gathered to see my prototype, a sustainable lunar habitat built on transparent financing and peer-reviewed engineering. My blueprints, my code, my dreams, my own. I stepped onto the viewing platform and looked up at the real moon. It shone gentle and unmoving, nothing like a pawn in Leo's game. I raised a glass of champagne, fingers wrapped around the stem. My reflection glimmered in the dark glass, stronger, wiser, unbroken. To the real moon, I whispered, voice steady, heart full. And in that quiet vow I knew I'd never trade my soul for false promises again.